Good evening, welcome back. Today is a new video, which is great. It's always nice when I make a new one. How's it going? My last video done actually very surprisingly well, so I thought I might as well make another one. Today I've decided to finally make the one video I promised ages ago. If you're new here and you don't know what that is, chances are you probably don't know what it is anyway, even if you're not new here. If you scroll down a little bit to where my shorts are, you'll notice that absolutely ages ago I made one talking about how I'm going to make this bloke right here. I said something along the lines of new video of how I made this coming soon, and I never made it. Yeah, sorry about that. But I'm gonna finally make it today, just before I make my second animatronic, so there's no point in going, oh, how I made my Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic when I've already made another one. So this is my first version. I've talked about it a little bit in my how to make an animatronic series, but I'm gonna go through the full details of how I made it today. The reason why is because this week I can get this video done very quickly, for no other particular reason why other than I'm just a lazy. So anyway, let's dive into it. Let the story time begin. So today's story starts with a young boy with an ender free and a dream, as anyone's stories start. This actually started as a college project. I needed to make something for my final project, and it was supposed to be theoretical, but I decided to go for the extra points and actually make something. I had this idea for a while and I just needed a good excuse to do it, so that's when I finally done it. But yeah, it doesn't actually work anymore. I've kind of ripped out most of his insides from my other animatronic series, so he's a little bit dead. If he starts moving, I'm going to freak out though. I first started by actually printing the head. Obviously the front, the top was the first bit, and then the jaw. It's not too bad, but I started printing on an ender free, so yeah. Enough said. But then I did eventually upgrade midway through making this to my now Bamboo Labs P1P. So the quality gets better as we go on here. This was my first time sort of messing around with animatronics, so I was sort of testing everything, a lot of trial and error. I used an Arduino in this, and it's probably the best choice, to be honest, but I didn't use it very well, which is where I went wrong, but I will go into that in a bit. So once I finally had printed out the entire head, I then worked out like the eye sizes, the distance apart, and all the parts inside. That's when I was then able to then start probably actually working at the mechanism. So I first started with the eye system, getting that to work. I've designed all of the insides on CAD. This actual head came from a Thingiverse file creation. I can't remember the name. It will pop up now. So that's the one I used. Then once I had it all printed, I could finally start on the insides. I don't know if you'll see it if I take off the head now. So I started with the insides of the eyes, so the eyes can move left and right. Oh, you see this mechanism in my other video. I don't really need to talk about it too much because you've already seen it. If you haven't actually seen it, then you should go check out my first how to make an animatronic video, because then I talk about it and I show it. Otherwise you're missing out. When I first finally started to get this to move, the video of it was now. It was pretty good. That was the main mechanism, to be honest with you. I didn't even code it myself. I got someone else to code it. But obviously in my newest one, I did actually have to code it myself. That was fun. Yeah, obviously this was all painted myself. I sanded it all down, painted it. I didn't have a lot of paint, so I used my dabbing painting technique. Okay, I'm gonna have to take this off. So I used my dabbing painting technique with a paintbrush, which is basically I just started stabbing it with the paintbrush. It worked out all right, to be honest. Considering it started off as black and then white, and then I sanded it, it looks all right. But yeah, the main electronics was okay to make. I sort of just made a component for it, and then I glued it together. To be honest, a lot of this footage you would have already seen in my shorts and in my other animatronic video. I don't really need to go into a whole lot here. The stand was probably my worst thing I made, to be honest. Sorry, there's a bit of hair stuck inside him. The stand was the worst thing I made. In fact, it's not very stable. It still isn't very stable. I never glued the bottom in, so it kept falling over, which is why there's now a hole in the head. It sort of fell on the floor. Sorry about that. I didn't really know how to make it. At first, I wanted the head to actually move, so it can move sort of left and right and up and down. I can work out how to do that, so I never done it. But I do want to do it still, so maybe in a future one. So the cables run. You can't see it, but it's like a tube, and the cables all run under here, and then That's for the controller. This was before I realized I could use a receiver for the controller. Like you've seen in my other animatronic video, I was using a receiver and a controller, like an RC controller, to control it. I didn't realize that when I built this. So this was controlled over a breadboard with a joystick and a potentiometer attached to it, which is why it was so sort of like jittery, and there was always loads of loose connections. It was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I remember at one point when I first tried to attach the actual head to the inside mechanism, I didn't put supports underneath the eye bit because it was sort of a separate mechanism. I didn't put supports underneath it, so when I glued it, I put the head on and it weighed too much, and it actually then broke the entire front bit down, so I had to then re-glue that back on. All in all, it wasn't too bad. There is a lot I could have done better, which is what obviously I'm now trying to work at. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It's okay. It makes a great little background piece, I suppose, you know, sat behind my video, behind me in all my videos. But I'm sorry, this is a sort of a weird video. It's not going to be a normal weekly video. It's just because I was going to make this video ages ago and I never did. It's only a quick one, but yeah, that's pretty much how I made it. There's not really a lot. The problem is I've gone into it a lot over my shorts and the other videos. I talked about it a lot. I gave more detailed views on the insides of it and that, and I just can't be asked to go over it again, to be honest. So yeah, that was my Mark 1. I'm going to start working on my Mark 2 pretty soon. I don't know how soon the video will be, but I am going to start working on it pretty soon. And thanks for all the support from my last video. That was absolutely blown away by how well that done. I started making that on 25, I then uploaded it on 150, and I'm now on 180, which is insane. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you did, sorry it's a boring video. It's a pretty boring thing, to be honest. I say that most people are probably very interested in it, but I don't really. The problem is I made it so long ago I can't even remember what happened, how I done it, and it looks cool, I suppose. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you liked it. Like it if you liked it. But yeah, if you don't subscribe, as usual, I'm gonna send this guy to your room and then he will eat you. Mwahahaha. Oh. Mwahahaha. Anyway, see ya.